Hi everyone, welcome to the test review tutorial. I'm Wayne and I'm going to guide you through how to do a desk review. Before we start, I should make you aware of the things that you will need to use during a desk review. So if you have the program's desk review submission that you downloaded from WiseHive, and I'll just show you right now, here is how it would look like. So first, if you want to download the program submission, go to Review. And then when you're at this page, go to Form Attachments, and then it will upload here. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't see it, so sometimes you have to download it, which you can do in this way. Also, what you need to open is a separate desk review Excel sheet that you will fill in yourself. It will look like this. Notice at the top how I named it. This will be different than what a program will do. So when you download the program submission, make sure that it says program submission on it, because one of the main things about doing a desk review is you need to compare what the program submits to what you have based on your findings on LACEs or in claim status reports. So making sure that you differentiate between the two is really important. So that's why it's important when you're naming the files to make sure that the program submission has the words program submission on it and that your submission has your initials on it. Also, you will need to have LACEs open. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, for the financial piece of the desk review Excel sheet, you probably will need the claim status review Excel sheet that Marie often sends us. And then finally, to fill out the overview tab, the budget workbooks that the program submitted on EdGrants should be also opened at the same time. So let's start with the desk review document itself. So when you start doing your desk review, the first tab that will be open will be the overview tab. And for this, you're going to need to fill out yourself. With the overview tab, the first thing you're going to do is select the grantee, which is a drop-down menu. One of the things that you'll notice and Toby did a really good job of doing this, is to color code certain aspects of the desk review document. So for example, if you see green means basically that there is a drop-down menu. We click on the drop-down, and for this example, I'm going to be using scale. Now, after you do that, you have to fill out this part of the overview, and the budgets that were submitted on EdGrants are really important for this. So first thing I'll do is open up Scale's FY21 340 workbook, and I will notice, okay, the fund code here, 340 federal. So when I go back to the desk review, I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to also go back and note the award, 740,818. So I'm going to put that down here. Their ABE target, 115, and their ESOL target, 195. We'll also do the same for their 345, which they also have. Now, Somerville doesn't do this, but one thing that you want to keep in mind for very few programs, like for example, North Shore Community Action, they actually have match seats. So check your budget workbook to see if there are any match seats. You do not need to put in the award amount for the match. But if they do have, for example, 5 ABE match seats, we do need to count them in our desk reviews. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. I'm going to erase this. Oh, that's all right. I'm going to skip the IET for now because that may require actually a separate video. Another thing to note from the budget workbook is whether or not they took option 2 and option 3 money for FY21. It looks like for here, for their 340 scale did not, but in their 345 they did. So you go back to the desk review document, there's another drop-down menu, yes, yes. Finally, at the end of the overview, make sure to write in the date that was submitted, whatever date that may be, and who submitted it. Right? And that's basically how to do the overview tab. Now to the real important stuff, which is enrollment. Okay. In order to do enrollment, you need to go into LACES. If you are a new member to ACLS and you get into LACES, there are a couple of things that you need to understand. The first thing is when you go into the agency, which they will talk about actually, you know what, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to sign out. I'm going to re-sign back in because when you sign in, when you go into agency, go into MASCA. Do not go to your specific agency. Just go to the entire, MASCA agency level. All our desk review searches are in this level. Click Use Selected, and then we're going to come down to here. Now, if you're new to ACLS, you will actually not see this view. The reason why you will not see this view is because this is a view that I created on my own, and other ACLS members will be using this view more or less. What I'm going to show you in a bit is the view that that's going to be default when you start using LACES, and I'm going to actually walk you through how to get to the view that you will need for desk reviews. Okay. So this is actually the view that you're going to see, and it's not very, very helpful, I'll be honest with you. There are not a lot of things that you can see that are really, really important. And there are some things like, for example, a student's name, which is not really that important for you. So you're going to need to change this view. And how you do that is when you go to here, where it says View, you're going to click on the drop-down menu, and you're going to go to Open View Manager. And click that. And you're going to create a new view. And you're going to give it a name. Now I gave it the name default view, all right? Well, for this one, I'm going to say test. I'm going to save it. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to put in different search fields. And usually the first one I'm going to do is agency. And I'm going to put add. What that means is when you, right now, when you look at this part of the screen, the last name is the first column. But with the view manager, when you create this new view, agency will be the first column. And that is really, really important because typing in the agency name is a really important part of doing the desk review for yourself. Anyway, I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. But I'm just going to give you, when I go back to Open View Manager, all the selected fields that I have. So it starts with agency, student, then goes to student ID, intake date, workforce area, it goes all the way down. Feel free to stop the video at any time to add in those fields. Okay, once you have that, every time you go into LACES, you're going to have that default view, hopefully. As we wait for LACES to load up, an important thing to do next is to click on these blue searches link right here, which is going to open up a bunch of different searches. What you're going to do is you're going to look at your shared searches. It's important because I create these searches for the people in the office, and they're going to look at it through, or everyone else is going to look through it with using shared searches, except for myself. As you can see, when I look at shared searches, there isn't actually really anything much in there. That's again for my sake. Because I create those searches, I look at them through this way, my searches. But again, for you, it's going to be through shared searches. Just remember that. Really important thing to note is the numbers. All right. If a search has a number all the way to the left of it, that means it's connected to the desk review. So for example, ABE enrollment in September is right here, ABE enrollment in September. Okay, so make sure that you have that, in hand. Make sure you remember that, and just go through it like this. So actually, one thing I also recommend is to move this bar all the way to the right a little bit. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the ABE enrollment and click replace. In the top, you will see search parameters. If you have any questions about the search parameters, let me know. I'm not really going to explain it in this video. However, these search parameters make up all of the desk review, and at least for ABE enrollment, the first thing you'll notice is that it covers only this current fiscal year. It only shows the students who are in Webster. And the reason why I do that is to limit the amount of searches so it takes less time. Return students from various categories in NRS Table 4. Also, they are students who have a certain number of hours attended, and they are not from NRS Table 11. So this is the number of students that we get. And the most important thing is to look for the number on the top left, right here. Now, we're doing scale. We're not doing Webster. So if you want to change it from Webster to another agency, your agency, you're going to just type in the agency box right here. So for me, I'm going to write down Somerville. I'm going to press enter. And then when the pop-up box shows up, click replace. And you're going to do that for every single one of these searches here on LACES and a few others that you will see in a little bit. So now you can see all the ABE students in scale enrolled in September 2020. And then you will see that there are 75 enrolled. So in your document, you're going to put it in. One thing that I like to do, when I do this, is to compare it. Now, with what the program submitted, now these are made up numbers, all right? These are not, what Somerville actually said. Okay, so now that you have put in the number for the September enrollment for ABE, what you should do is you should compare it with what the program sent to you. So in this theoretical case, where I made up the numbers, but let's just say this is what Somerville or Scale sent to you, or the program sent to you. You would notice like a fairly big discrepancy between these two numbers. And I think that's something that you would definitely need to talk about with the program. Like, why in the program submission are they pulling in a different number than you? More likely than not, the number will be either the same or a little bit different. One reason why it could be a little bit different is because the program may send the desk review document on November 20th, and you check it on December 5th, and they added in some new students or added in new assessments, and their enrollment went up. If you see that their enrollment went up, like for example, let's say in this situation here, in the desk review they gave you 90, but in the desk review that you had, you got 93, that's fine. However, if it's less considerable, then that's probably something you would need to talk about. Going back to LACES going back to your document, everything here follows the same steps on LACES. If you want to do, for example, ESOL enrollment in September, replace. Remember, again, everything is set to Webster, so you're going to have to change your agency, replace. The number is up here. Put it in. Okay. Quick note, for those of you who are not new to the desk review process, we have cut down the year-to-date enrolled non-NRS participants as well. It's a year-end date search instead of a month-by-month search. Also, another thing to note about it is we don't put in our desk review the year-to-date enrolled NRS participants without 12 plus hours. It's not needed anymore in the desk review. But I do want to talk a little bit about that, because this year, obviously is a strange year. And one of the reasons why it's strange is because, a lot of programs are struggling for enrollment. And oftentimes, and I've seen this already a few times with working with other PSs, is that there are quite a few students who are non-NRS participants, and a lot of the reasons why for that is because testing is a little bit difficult during these times. Also, you want to kind of look at the health of a program through its enrollment, but one way that we don't see that perhaps is some students come in a little bit later. So in order to get like a kind of a full view, one thing I would suggest doing, and this is something that will not be covered in the desk review document, is when you do the non-NRS participant search with 12 plus hours, you'll get like a number like this. But if you kind of want to see like maybe a broader picture of what is happening in the program, go to the student current fiscal year instructional hours. So you see here that it's over 12 hours, or over and equal to 12 hours. If you X out of it, well, scale is a bad example, but sometimes you will see more students here. these would be the students who haven't gotten tested yet, or they haven't gotten to 12 hours of instruction. If there are quite a few students who are like that, that probably means that they've enrolled in the program within the last, week or so. And that may give you a good idea of really how many students the program has, because you can just take the enrollment, add it to the non-NRS participants, and you kind of get the entire school's population. So just kind of think about that when you're doing desk reviews, and if you feel that there are some concerns about the numbers that you're seeing on the desk review, that may be something that you might want to look at. All right, now we're going to go into the MSG outcomes. These are the measurable skill gains outcomes that are really important for programs to see whether or not students are progressing the way we want them to. These are very, very similar. When you go into LACES, all you have to do again is go to, the first search for that is the active students with ABE pretests only. Click replace, and then change the agency and get the number on the top left. That's basically the same for all the searches that you see here up until number 16. ABE EFL completions. So once you get to ABE EFL completions, and I'm going to just do some nonsense right here. Yeah, hopefully, it won't look like this. But once you get to ABE EFL completions, you're going to have to be very, very careful. So first, you're going to do exactly what you were doing before. Click replace, change the agency, click replace. Now, this is not the end for ABE EFL completions. What you're going to need to do is go to reports, and you need to go all the way down to where it says level gains. You got to click on it, and then on the bottom right it says print Excel. Click on that. What it's going to do is it's going to generate a report. I found this to be the longest part of doing a desk review, because the generation of this report, it can be fairly long. I've also had a few problems with even just accessing the Excel file. Sometimes it doesn't really work very, very well. I just urge you to have patience. If you cannot get the level gains, Excel sheet, then try again at another time. Keep doing, skip this for now and go to another one. Luckily for me, I was able to get it. So you can just open it. Now, since it's the beginning of the year, it's pretty common to not see any level gains yet, But as you continue doing it, maybe in March or April, you should see this populated, and you want to look for the grand total for all students and the number beside it. So here, obviously, it's 0. So when you fill out, put down 0. Same with the ESOL EFL completions. When you go to ESOL EFL completions, you do the same thing. You click replace, you go to agency, change the agency name, replace, and then go to reports, and again, go to level gains. It's the same. All right. For number of HSC credentials attained, it's the same as the other searches below, above. But one thing that you'll notice here is that when you go back to the desk review document, that this search here is not on LACES. Oh no, what am I going to do? Don't worry, I got you. What you're going to do is you're going to need to go to where it says more on the green, the lighter green shaded bar, and go to all pub summary. Click on that. And it takes you to a different part of LACES. You're going to click on the blue searches bar right here. And then again, you're going to click on shared searches. But for me, I'm going to click on my searches. And again, look for the numbers. If it has a number in the back, like 19, 20, 21, 22 here, that's the search you want to see. Here, much like what we would do in the student view, which is right here, where we start off on, going to do the same thing. Replace, put in the agency name, replace. Oh no, they don't have post-exit, post-secondary enrollments, but again, that's okay. It's the beginning of the year. Oh, sorry, wrong one. We put 0 there. Now, don't move away from the all pub summary page yet, because the next part of the desk view is employment outcomes. And all of the employment outcomes here are also in the all pub summary. Again, it's very, very simple. You know, you click replace, change your agency name, right? For the fourth quarter, they're all the same. And then for the eligible for employed in the second quarter, it's also the same. However, one thing you'll notice is this search right here is combined in LACES, employed in the second quarter and the second quarter median earnings. And the reason for that is because you will need the employed in the second quarter, the amount of people there, to get the second quarter median earnings. So how do you do both? I'll show you. So again, you're going to click replace. Again, you're going to change the agency. Again, you're going to click replace here, and you'll see that there are 3 people that were employed in the second quarter from July 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. Ooh, I'm going to need to change that because 1919 is definitely the wrong year. I'll do that in a bit. So this is actually one of the numbers that you'll need. You're going to put that down where it says employed in the second quarter, 3. To get the median earnings, we need to go back to LACES. And then what you're going to do is you're going to export CSV. And you're going to open the Excel document. This one, luckily, is a lot faster than the EFL completions. And what you're going to look at is usually on column T, you're going to see second quarter earnings as an outcome measure. You need to take the median of that. So how are you going to take the median of that? You're going to create an equation on one of the cells. So you're going to press equals, median, all capitals, space, and then left parentheses, and then you're going to take those 3 numbers here. And you're going to press it and accept that correction if you want. Yeah, and of course the median here is very easy because we only have 3 numbers, and of course the median of that is 1. However, if you have many different numbers, of course you may want to find out, you know, that this is the easiest way to find out the median for that. So you're going to take that 1 and you're going to put it here. Okay. For the total number of FY21 NRS participants, when you go back to LACES, you're going to need to go back to student, which is where you start off with whenever you log on to LACES. So you click on that. It will take you back actually to your search, whatever search you stopped at before you went to all pop summary. And then at the bottom, at number 25 and 26, you will see the FY20 participants searches. And again, you do replace, change the agency, replace, and then you'll see the number on the top left. Okay, now to the IET. Wait, what is going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? There's nothing here. Wait, I got you. First thing you need to do is go back to whatever the program submitted. Look at their overview tab. Look, oh, we have an IT here. Oh, it's a water and wastewater treatment plant and system operator. Okay, and the fund code. Okay, all right. Gonna need to remember this information when you go back to your desk review submission. 345. Water and wastewater treatment plant and system operator. Target is 10. Number of cohorts 1. I'll just let you know Somerville does not have an IET. I'm just using some, this as an example. Okay. You go back to IET, ICAE now. Oh, there it is. Ah, yes, that's right. It's right there. Now we're cooking. All right. Now we can start filling in the information here. I'm going to minimize this because I'm going to need to copy this by hand, which is a little bit annoying, but it's okay. What you gonna do? All right. So, really important thing when you're doing this is to write down the class name. But the most important thing is actually the ID number. All right. I'm gonna put in the start date. Now, one thing I'm gonna do right here. Today is November 20th as I record. I'm gonna write down November 22nd, 2020. I'm gonna write down the enrollment target and the desk review date. But nothing happens here. Nothing happens here. Why? Well, the reason why is this class hasn't ended yet. The last day is after your desk review search date. Now, if the class ended, let's say where it says here, November 18th, oh, now you got the number of students here. The number enrolled, the number of credentials. Okay, keep that in mind. If you're doing the desk review before the end date, you're going to get nothing here. This has to be done after the last date of the cohort. So what that means is be aware of the end date of these IET classes. You're not going to need to do IET searches in November if the class ends in January. But when you do the next desk review, which I believe would be in February or January, you may have to do it then. Okay. When you go back to LACES to find out, right, you go to the search number 27. You're going to click replace. Now again, Somerville does not have an IET, so I'm not going to use Somerville as an example here. If you want to find the number of IET students enrolled, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to change the agency. All right. Now, Somerville's not going to have any IET students, obviously, because they don't have it. But what I want to show you is, remember that ID number that I talked about? over here, this number right here, you're going to need to insert that. And how you're going to do it is through here. So you see class enrollments dot class ID. You're going to click on that little pencil right here. You're going to edit it. Now, 125613, that is the ID number for that Webster IET class. And that's the reason why I have Webster actually as my base program for these searches, because Webster has ABE, Webster has ESOL, and Webster has IET. This is the ID number for Webster's IET class. If you want to find the IET number, now go back to your here. Well, I don't know what happened to, yeah, to the 176956, and you're going to enter it here, 176596, and then you're going to apply it. Again, this is a fake class. It's not real. You're going to see nothing here. But again, the search parameter, if you look through it, mouse over it, you have the agency name changed, and then you have the class ID equals that number. You should be okay, and then the number will show up here. And you're going to do that for every single cohort. Remember, some IETs have 2 cohorts. I believe Toby has said that there may be a program that has 3 cohorts. Keep that in mind as well. Also keep in mind that some programs have 2 IETs. Okay. One good thing about the IET search, again, is you don't have to do it until the class ends. But you have to keep in mind when those classes end. Also keep in mind that the data in the program submission match it, you know, the start date and the end date. Make sure you have that in mind when you're doing that. Also, a small thing about credentials. Let's say, for example, this example program, you saw that they had 8 students enrolled in the training class, but 0 of them got credentials. Notice that the test review date is 2 days after the class ends. Very oftentimes, especially in these times, it's going to be hard for students to test to get that credential, to get tested for that credential. So I would always go back maybe in future test review dates to just make sure to look for the number of credentials in this cohort. Maybe someone gets this credential in January, February. Maybe even, like, let's say a really extreme example, you find that testing for this credential cannot happen until May. The student takes the test in May, gets the credential, all right? So all the way in that June test review, you may still be entering credentials for an IET cohort that ended on November 18th. Just something to think about, something to keep track of when you're doing a test review. All right, and now we're going to come across, basically the last part of what you're going to do, the Financials tab. So in the Financials tab, actually a document that I didn't talk about earlier that you should maybe refer to is the MA test review instructions that Shannon Stangus at LACES and Toby have worked on very, very carefully. And if you go down to page 40 and 41, the last 2 pages, they kind of give you an idea of how to do the Financials tab, especially for the career services and workforce training and the funding 2 to 3, or for funding for options 2 and 3. So I would actually read that yourselves. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot too much to it, especially for this. The program needs to be sending progress reports basically on how well they're doing with the option 2 and option 3 money that they received in FY21, if they received it. There are a few programs that didn't receive it. For workforce training, career services expenditures, as you can see here, basically we're just tracking, if the programs are keeping track of it themselves. Okay. For workforce training, it's pretty much dependent on the program having an IET. If they don't have an IET, they're not going to be filling this out. For the grant drawdown, though, you should be filling this out yourself using the claim status report that Marie often sends us. Make sure that you have the latest one open when you do it, and you can actually see the amount of money that the program has claimed so far. So for example, for Somerville, they're 345. Look at the first three numbers in the project number. They have already claimed about $77,289. So you're going to put that probably under October. 77, what was it again? 77,289. Oops, 77,289. Okay, that's how you fill it in. Oh, and I just realized, rookie mistake. This is for the 340. I'm looking for the 345. So you fill it in there, and you notice on the right, the year to date, how much they've drawn down already, the balance that they still have left, and the amount, in percentage of how much they spent. Yeah, that's a basic overview of the financial tab. Last things, and this is mostly, actually not mostly, this is for the programs themselves to fill out. You're not going to fill this out, but anything in purple here requires a response. Now, you go back to the enrollment tab, you'll notice that this is a program submission. You'll notice that the percentages are in red for ABE, but they're blue for ESOL. If it's in red for enrollment, the program needs to create a response. However, if it's blue, you will notice that even though you can type here, that the text box here is not there, but I'm going to do a little bit of magic, something Toby had taught me, make me become a wizard. Let's bring this down. Now they're in the red. Now you can see that this text box has magically appeared. So keep in mind the enrollment percentages as well here. Also the same thing here for non-NRS participants. If they have more than 0 non-NRS participants, they are required to, respond to that, asking why, there are 2 students who have 12 or more hours of attendance but no pretest this year. Okay, so they do need to write a response. It's usually going to be short. In January, there is an extra, actually no, there is not an extra one, sorry, excuse me. It's the same as well. In March, you will see the same thing as well. Okay. Actually, for this one, this will be about MSG outcomes. So you would look at here in the MSG outcomes tab, and then in the March, now you see that. Okay. And then finally, for the programs, they're gonna, in the light green tabs, they will need to respond if they received option 2 and option 3 money, what they have been doing in option 2 for curriculum and instruction, and how they are aligning their ESOL curriculum, or how they're developing a science and social studies curriculum. And then for option 3, they're going to explain their progress on developing online and remote learning opportunities. So yeah, that is kind of just a broad overview of the test review process. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you out, as I've done before in the past. And again, I would like to thank, Toby and Shannon for their help with help this. And I hope, you can use this tutorial to kind of help you with and make things easier to do the desk review. I'll be posting, of course, on YouTube. Make sure to bookmark this video. Also, in the description below, I will be, doing some time marks. So, when I start, talking about the overview, and when I start talking about the enrollment tab and the MSG outcomes tab, you know exactly which minute and second that starts. So you can click on that, and then you can go directly to that section. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope you have a nice day.